Welcome to Permission to Shift, the show that helps you remove limits, transform fears, and get into a life you're excited to live. Today's guest is Sean Swarner, the only person on Earth to be diagnosed with and survive Hodgkin's disease and Askin sarcoma. He was given 14 days to live, as the odds of Sean's survival were like winning the lottery 4 times in a row with the same numbers. Still, he never gave up. With only one lung, he became the first cancer survivor ever to climb Mount Everest, and then to climb all of the 6 remaining tallest summits in the world. He has skied the North and South Poles and has gone on to run an Ironman in Hawaii. Sean has written 2 books about his experiences and has been rightly named one of the top 8 most inspirational people on the planet. He is a stand for all of us and for what is possible. I cannot be more tickled to have him on the show today. Hey, Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It is so awesome to have you here.
I'm excited. If it's anything like what we were just talking about, it's going to be a blast.
It is. So for anybody who's watching today, you heard the intro, you know that Sean is a pretty extraordinary human. But can we get you to tell the story of where you had your biggest shift?
Physically, mentally, or spiritually?
Let's do all. Let's do one for each.
All right. Well, because I kind of look at it from a different angle, because I try to see things a little bit differently, because everything I've been through, I have a different perspective on life. Mm-hmm. So let's see, my biggest shift physically was probably after the 2 cancers. And I was trying to work my way back to where I was before. Mm-hmm. And it was the biggest kick in the teeth, because I thought I was going to hop in the water and swim back and forth and have no problems, because I was a swim champ. Like I still have records from like 1988, 89, that have never been beat. I was undefeated. And I thought I was going to get back in shape just like that. And I swam back and forth, no problem. But after the cancer, I was trying to get back to where I thought I wanted to be, where I was before the cancers. It was almost impossible. I the first time I remember going down and back, 50 meters, and I was done. Like, I left my arms at the bottom of the pool. That was the biggest shift. And it was the first time that because swimming came so naturally and easily for me. I was an athlete for years. So that was the biggest shift. Understand, I had to put in the effort. I had to put in the time and the work.
And did you? Did you get back?
Absolutely, yeah. I got back to where I was, and I broke more records, and I ended up, after the thoracotomy, though, however, when I was 16, so the second cancer, and when I was in college, it made it more difficult, because I was at a really elite level, swimming NCAA. And because of where they took the tumor out, they actually had to cut into my back muscle. So now, after that, I just swam in circles. So I gave that up, but I ended up running, and I ended up finding something else. But I would say mentally, because we said physically, spiritually, mentally. Well, we'll do that mentally. Mentally, it was the second time I got diagnosed. Because the first one, I was like, okay, well, we got this. Let's move forward. Let's get it done with. Second time, I went through it the first time. I didn't want to do it again. Yeah. I was like, what the hell? Like, my life's going to be on pause. I don't want to do this thing again. Mentally, that was a struggle. And it was also mentally a struggle when I remember laying in the hospital bed, and a man of the cloth came in and started reading me my last rites. Shit. Yeah. And I remember looking at my mom and my dad, and I'm like, what's he doing? And I'm not dead yet. And the hospital wanted me to write out a living will. And jokingly, I have a brother who's 3 years younger than I am. I was like, jokingly, I'm like, isn't my brother going to get all my hand-me-downs anyhow? Like, what does the hospital want? Well, mentally, the biggest part too was, imagine going to bed night after night after night after night, being terrified to close your eyes because you don't know if they're ever going to open again. So I had to learn to become uncomfortable in the uncomfortable. That was a mental struggle every night, which leads into the spiritual part of having faith that everything is going to be okay. And I remember there was one time, again, it all goes back to the cancers. And I remember one time I was supposed to be, like, let's just say I was always treated on the seventh floor. And I knew the nurses there. Like, going through something like that, the nurses become your family. It's your extended family. And for whatever reason, that floor was full. So they stuck me on like the ninth floor. And mom and dad kept going to the seventh floor saying, hey, we need to get Sean back down here with everybody else. A room opened up. They stuck me there. And I remember it was in the wintertime, and it was so weird because when we opened the curtains, there was a courtyard. It was snowing, but there was a rainbow. Yeah, it's so weird. So I remember looking at my mom and telling her, everything's going to be all right, isn't it?
Did she cry?
Oh, absolutely. I think I did too. And I think looking at it from that perspective, I call things like that a God wink. God's just kind of going, hey, everything's going to be all right.
Just that little piece that you need to get you to the next one, whatever the next thing is. So we've gotten that you got all this spiritual toughness and this mental toughness. It's funny because when I read your story and when I researched all about you and I talked to Jeff and that's how I met you. I learned about you as the mountain climber, and I was thinking, oh, your mental toughness comes there. But what you're saying is, no, I came way, way earlier and you just transferred it?
Exactly. So I think that's one of the reasons why I can do what I do, is because I know what pain is. I know what struggle is. And I don't think I'll ever go through anything that's so mentally, spiritually, and physically as tough as going through those two cancers. Being in a medically induced coma for a year of your life is really difficult on the body, the mind, and everything else. Going up a mountain or going, say, trekking to the North Pole in 80 below temperatures, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear. And then looking at it from that perspective too, whatever situation you're in, there's no bad situation. It's just how you're prepared for it.
So sorry, carry on.
I would say that's what I've learned from the cancers and the mountaineering. So I've taken what I learned from the cancers and put it into the mountaineering aspect, the adventure part of it. Mm-hmm. So if I can put up with this, who cares? The sun will come back out. The sun will come out tomorrow, right?
Are we doing an Annie scene next? Because I'm down. I'm down. I'm totally down. What do you do? You've had these experiences. You have this great appreciation for life. When you encounter a room of solid negativity,
I leave. I'm out. I posted something in a I don't even know what it's called, but I commented on someone's post in Instagram, and I was hit by so many people saying that I have toxic positivity, which drives me nuts. Because it's based on so many people thinking that if you're always positive, that's not real life. And I'm not always positive, but it's nice to have that positive aspect, that positive perspective. But one thing I've learned that has changed my life, with receiving criticism, with seeing that negativity. First of all, I know it's not about me, it's about them. Right. So what I say is about me, what you hear is about you.
Oh, I like that.
And it's so true. So however you interpret what I might have to say, I don't intentionally want to hurt anyone or cause them pain. So however and this works for everybody, however you want to interpret what that person said to you, it's not their issue of how they communicated what it was. It's how you interpreted what they said.
Mm-hmm. Which rolls into how people abdicate responsibility. by pushing it onto somebody else? How do you deal with those situations?
I tell them, look, you are where you are in your life because of all the seemingly mundane decisions you've ever made in your entire life. If you want to change, and human beings are creatures of habit. If you want to change who you are, where you are, change what you do, change how you see things.
You have that on your website. That if you
maybe
repetition, I believe, hold on, I have it. I have it in my notes. Give me a second. We are all representations of repetition.
Absolutely.
And that plays into mind, that plays into body, that plays into spirituality.
Anything you want. I mean, if people expect to change overnight, it's not going to happen, especially if they don't know what they truly value. And by value, I mean, like, you have to understand what your personal core values are. You know, it could be personal growth. It could be family. It could be charity. It could be commitment. It could be anything. But if you don't know what your personal core values are, how are you going to start making mindful decisions to get what you want from life? And how are you going to be happy?
Do you have a system? And I know there's so many different systems and people who, help with core values or whatnot, but do you have your own system for this? Oh,
I've made my own journal.
Show us more.
Well, it's called the Summit Challenge Journal, and it's a program I put together. Mm-hmm. I designed this this journal myself, and it's the number one thing that's the most important in this whole journal is understanding and going through the first 50 or 60 different values, their core values, right? And I'll just flip to a page where I didn't mark it all up, so you can actually, here we go, so you can actually see them. Because once you pick your core values, there we go, bam, and you can even see all of them there. Autonomy, I can't read them backwards and upside down because it's weird for
leadership, humanity, or learning, loyalty, meaningful work. Oh yeah, I see lots of good ones on there.
So anybody can pause this and make their own. But then what you do is you take a step further. You pick 10 of them, write 10 of them down here, right? These are your core values. And then this is the cool part. Every single thing I've seen so far with all my research has stopped there. Like, okay, these are my core values. I'm going to start making decisions based on these. I take it, like I said, a step further, where I want you to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how you're actually living that value.
Ooh, snaps.
So let's say family or fun, whatever, is one of your top 10 personal core values. And you are actually living it at, say, a 4? Yeah, 4. You now know exactly where you want to start focusing your energy and attention, and because that's where you're potentially lacking. And it starts with a morning and evening bookend based on your personal core values. So I do that every day. Every morning I wake up. That's the first thing I do, because how you start your day is pretty much how your day is going to go.
So you start your day looking at your values and how you're going to live them that day?
I start my day by actually writing so it starts off today my value affirmation is blank, and then 3 things. I will try 2 3 things. I will learn 2 3 things.
Okay.
So I write down a value affirmation. I'll see if I can find one. This is an older journal.
Excuse me.
Here we go. Today, my value affirmation is, I provide meaningful work for the world and my life and story is impactful. Today is a new day and a new opportunity to become the confident person I know I am. I am in charge of my own future and life. If it is to be, it's up to me. Things like that. Here we go. This is a good one for everybody. Today, my value affirmation is, external factors do not determine my internal emotions. I am in charge of my own happiness.
Can we talk about that a little bit? How do you apply that? That is a very big concept with a lot of nuance.
It goes back to understanding that things don't make you feel a certain way. It's what you attach. It's the meaning you attach to those things.
Which is what you were talking earlier.
Exactly. So looking at it from an opposite perspective, people say they have triggers and something makes them feel a certain way. And I'm not going to speak on anybody else's triggers, but for me, it used to be just a 6-letter word, cancer, going in for my checkup every year. I have my cancer checkup, cancer, cancer, cancer. That used to make me freak out. However, I finally decided, why am I letting a 6-letter word choose my emotions when I'm the one who's responsible for how I want to feel? So I no longer have a trigger when I hear cancer. I'm like, okay, it's a word. And I have certain steps that people can go through to do it. For me, one of them was actually pick your whatever trigger you might have, whatever word it might be. One thing you can do is go stand in front of a mirror and literally stare at yourself in the mirror and say it out loud 40 or 50 times. I mean, I got to like 30. I started laughing. I was like, why the hell am I so afraid of this? Cancer, 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 cancer. But do it slower, because you get to a point where you don't become numb to it, but you see it from a different angle. And then looking at it from that perspective that I mentioned earlier. So I no longer have that trigger. Looking at it, say, I want to buy a new car. Why do I want that new car? Well, because it's going to make me happy. No, it's not. Just like anything, you buy it, you get it, it makes you happy for a little bit. And then it, like anything else, that shininess goes away. It's like, ooh, shiny. Well, for the first week or two, it's what that car means. Is it freedom? Is it the ability to explore? It's the thing behind the thing, the meaning behind the meaning. And if people dive down deeper and deeper, that car and the meaning behind that car goes back to your personal core values. Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to, like, say you're coaching someone, they want to double their salary. Well, why do they want to double their salary? Well, because I'll be happy. Well, if you're going to choose to be happy when you have a double salary, why don't you choose to be happy now? What does that what does happiness mean? Does that money mean more stability? Does it mean more security? Does it mean that you can do something with your family? So go deeper and deeper and deeper. And that again goes back to the personal core values. It's the meaning behind the meaning. And a lot of people are afraid to do that proverbial look in the mirror, to peel back those layers and see who they are.
Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think a lot of people are afraid to find out the answers.
But why would they be afraid of the answer? What's the worst thing that they could? What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe because they feel like they've been lying to themselves. They're afraid of the truth. Mm-hmm.
That they've built their lives as a total lie, and facing it means they have to acknowledge that lie.
Exactly.
That's heavy.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of times it's the truth.
What would be the next step for someone? Say someone who's watching this and thinking, that might be me, that might be me, that might be me. What would you recommend?
Would you rather live a life of lies, or would you rather find the truth?
That might not convince me. I'm sitting here in my little my little safe zone. No, seriously, if I'm living in denial, it's like not doing your taxes. I can avoid it. So I can pretend it doesn't exist. I can pretend maybe I'll wake up tomorrow to be different.
But it's going to come back and get you. I mean, the IRS will find you. They'll find you, and they will.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll find you. They'll add fees on there, late fees, and in interest and everything else. So it's just going to build up. It's like any issue you might have. Let's say, again, going back to cancer. What if I ignored the cancer and I didn't face the facts? I would not be here talking to you right now. I'd be dead.
Right.
So it's best to face the truth and face who you really are, because I don't want to live a life of lies. I don't want to live a life. I don't want to live a life that somebody else wants me to live. I want to live my own life. So if you're making decisions based on what others want for you, you're not truly living to your full potential, and you're not living to who you are, which means that you're negating happiness in your own life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting there and you're afraid of things, maybe you're truly not happy. Maybe you're getting that new car, that new house, and forgot maybe that new wife, the younger wife, whatever. You traded it just like a new car. You're constantly looking for happiness, thinking that it's out there somewhere, when the first place you have to start is inside you. So maybe people are constantly going after the next journey, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, thinking it's going to make them happy. And if you're tired of constantly going after something else, why not try something different? Why not try to find the truth to your own happiness?
When someone comes to you, and this is a question then, do people come to you seeking to unbury themselves from that tangle?
They have, yeah. And when I first tested the program I mentioned, I hate calling it a program because it's really not a program. It's a unique journey for each individual because it's based on whatever your personal core values are. So your experience is completely different than mine. Mm-hmm. I had a lady who took it. She went through the journey, and she told me that in 3 weeks she accomplished more than she had in the past year and a half of her life. So initially, the way my brain thinks is, well, and I told her, it's like, well, what have you been doing for the past year and a half? She's like, obviously nothing. Yeah. But now she's finding, like, people who are finding it difficult to get motivated. Once you understand what your personal core values are and what matters most to you, you now have an untapped and unlimited resource of reasons to go after things.
Mm-hmm. And things that you'll actually get off the couch to do because they're yours.
Exactly. And a perfect example is just helping people on the perspective they have. So the easiest one to understand is you don't work out because you hate your body. You work out because you love your body. So you exercise not because you hate your body, because you're overweight, because you're not healthy, whatever. You exercise because you love your body, because you know it's good for you.
It's a total...
paradigm shift. But if you look at it from those angles, your entire world changes.
It's interesting you bring that up. I'm in a bunch of different groups, and one of the groups, the conversation turned to why the work wasn't getting done for some of the participants. And it came down to, it was the work. It was just, there was nothing in it that felt joyful or exciting. And what you just said, changing and shifting how you look at things could totally change that around for people.
Absolutely.
Right? Attach it to your values, make it enjoyable, make it beautiful and inspiring for yourself. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, and everything you do is not going to be exciting. I mean, you have to have those down days to appreciate the up days.
Well, tell me about that. What do you do when you feel yourself going into the down day? Because somebody watching right now may be saying, oh, this guy is toxic positive. No, you're not toxic positive. But if somebody was out there and they wanted to believe that because they're struggling, because they're feeling so down, right? It's not that they're trying to feel crappy.
Well, I guess it's obviously different for everyone, but you have to take care of yourself before you take care of somebody else. And it's not narcissistic. It's not egotistical. It's not selfish. Because let's say you have a party and you're at that party and everybody has a glass, you have a pitcher, and you're trying to pour some water or a drink, adult beverage, whatever it might be, margaritas, everyone's going around.
Adult beverage.
So everybody wants a margarita. You're pouring your pitcher out. If you don't refill your pitcher, you're going to be empty.
Right.
You constantly give and give and give and give and give, you're going to have nothing left. So you have to take care of yourself first. So if you're feeling down, do what makes you feel good. Take a time out. For me, it's almost every Monday. I have Monday me time. I disappear. We have a bathtub in the basement. It has these jets and everything. I turn off everything, my phone, all that stuff, just for like 30 minutes an hour, right? I disconnect. And every morning I do yoga too. So I constantly build myself back up every morning. And then with my wife, there's times where she'll come into the office and I'll just be like, hold on, not now. You have to know where your limits are. If you pay attention to it and you're mindful to where you're going in your day-to-day, you know when you need to take a time out. So if you're feeling down, look back at why you're feeling down and then fix it going forward.
What about toxic? And I'm going to, just because we have the word out there, toxic people pleasing, where people are so, they care so much about what other people think of them, and they care so much about being accepted, they can't stop.
I have always found it fascinating that so many people care more about what others think of them than what they think of themselves. How is a stranger on the street going to affect your life more than, say, your significant other or yourself? If I'm on the street and I just want to freak out, people are going to look at me like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm just having fun. And it might be, in thinking out loud, it might be that those types of people you mentioned are too harsh in judging themselves. And because of that, they're afraid of how others are going to judge them. When maybe they just need to loosen up a little bit and realize that life is supposed to be fun.
And going through something like your challenge might be able to help them do that. Identify, because at some point that says to me they're so disconnected from themselves, they actually don't know who themselves is to take care of.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know what your personal core values are, how do you know what means most to you?
So for somebody watching this and saying, okay, I'll bite, how do they get into, say, a program like yours?
They can go to thebighillchallenge.com or just go to SeanSwarner.com.
Nice.
It's easy. Or send me an email, Sean@cancerclimber.org.
And I believe the journal-based challenge, if I'm not mistaken, is about $70.
Yeah, something like that.
$70, guys, to get yourself connected again. Like we spend more money on movies and crappy clothes, right? That are, as you said, going to make you happy for about, an hour a day, maybe a week if it's a really good thing. But
it's funny you mentioned that too, because I had a phone call, I don't know, about an hour ago, and I'm giving a keynote presentation, a virtual keynote presentation next week. And the lady said, well, we're really looking forward to, your inspirational keynote talk, because I'm an inspirational speaker. And I told her, I was like, look, I'm not an inspirational speaker. There are millions of those out there. Everybody's an inspirational speaker. What happens is those corporations and people bring in a coach, they bring in somebody else to speak to them, to help them, to do whatever. And what happens is they're inspired. Yeah, it's great for like a week. And then the employees go back to being whatever they want to be. Because I'm talking about personal core values and each individual has something different, I'm not an inspirational speaker. I'm an empowerment speaker. I'm empowering people to do something for themselves. Not everyone's going to climb Everest like I did, but everybody has an Everest to climb. And you need to find the proper path, your personal path, to get to the summit of your mountain. It's that simple.
That, I think, is the perfect note to close off on. But before I do, I would love you to really quickly tell people about the other challenge that you have. So for somebody who's looking for a deep personal immersion that will be led by Sean himself, there is such a thing. And if you could just tell us about it.
The Africa trip you're talking about?
I'm talking about Africa, yes.
Yeah. So
of course I am.
Well, I've taken groups up Kilimanjaro every year as a fundraiser for a cancer charity. And I've been up to the top of Kilimanjaro, which is the highest mountain in Africa, 21 times. And I've been adopted into the Chaga tribe, and they call me in Swahili Mzungu Kicha, which translates to crazy white man, to be honest with you. I love it.
No way.
Yeah, they call me Mzungu Kicha. And I'm like, what's that? Like, crazy white man. So
that's actually amazing.
And our success rate on the mountain it's double the average success rate. So we're at 99% success rate, getting people up and down the highest mountain in Africa, Kilimanjaro. And for the longest time, I started thinking about how that's possible. And it was because for everybody who's going on the trip, I helped them, I led them into discovering a deeper purpose for the trip. because so many people come in and they say, well, I'm going to conquer that mountain. And like, if it's you versus Mother Nature, she's going to kick your butt every single time. I don't care who you are. She's going to take you down. It's you versus yourself. And I've learned that I don't take people on an expedition. I take them on an inspedition. So it's more a journey on the inside. And the summit becomes a byproduct of having fun. So I'm turning the mountain into this immersive, experiential coaching opportunity to give people something every day on the mountain to help them learn more about themselves. You're disconnected from technology, and it's literally a life-changing experience. So we do 7 days on the mountain, and then we fly into the Serengeti, and we do a 4-day safari to the Serengeti. We go through what's called the Ngorongoro crater, and then the Tarangire National Park or Lake Banyar, depending on the season. I mean, it's life-changing. It really is.
Mm. And for anyone who is interested in that, the website is without the in front.
Not the. It's just ultimatelifeclimb.com, because that's what it is. It's ultimate. It's your ultimate life climb.
Sean, it has been amazing. I definitely want to have you back. There's so many more things that I would like to dissect with you, but we'll have to do that in another episode. Is there anything you would like to leave people with before we sign off?
Yes. On my business cards, people often ask me, well, what's your favorite quote? And it's a quote from Nelson Mandela.
I love that. It always seems impossible until it's done.
And you have to believe in yourself.
Thank you so much for your time today, Sean. And anyone watching this, his links are below. Click them, go join, and maybe we'll see you on the side of a mountain.
Thank you.
I'm curious about this because I love language and I love communication. But the use of the word "I will try" to me says I leave one foot out the door in case I don't get there. It says I don't have to fully commit. And it surprises me you would use that language. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I did that on purpose.
Why?
Because halfway through, and this is almost like a test. So here's my journal from, October 13th.
Oh, I can't see. Hold on. I'm going to try and make this bigger. I'm going to try and move myself. Speaker view. I will. Oh, thank you. You know what? I should have said it in the interview, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to take, next time we interview, I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to say, why do you have the word try? And you'll have the opportunity.
Because it's up to that person to come to that. And all of a sudden they're like, I will try to, and they're like, no, I'll mark it out. And I mention it to people if they bring it up.
I love this so much. I was like, what the is he doing? Why would he do that? Okay, this tickles the shit out of me. Yes.